Good evening. Welcome to Star Talk. I'm Ken Eccles, and why, yes, we are a little behind our times tonight. That's all right. It's not like this is a real show with a real host or anything, but we get on when we get on. Here we are. We have a phone number that you can call. The number is on your screen. We also have an email address. It is keneckleslive@gmail.com. So we'd love to hear from you either way, by phone or by email. For those of you who gave up because we're a couple of minutes late, those of you who gave up saying, "Oh, they're not going to be on tonight. Let's go and do something else." I guess there's nothing I can do about that because those folks are already somewhere else doing something else. But boy, are they going to miss a great show. Phone line is open at that number. Email us at keneckleslive@gmail.com, and we'd love to hear from you either way. Let me get my email thing over here. Because I've got one that I've already seen. I'll deal with it right away. It's a very simple question with a very simple answer. And the question is, Ken, answer the phone. All right. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, good evening, Mr. Ken.
Good evening. How are you?
Well, good. I had to text Charles about the problem.
What, did you get a reply?
No, I didn't, but you came on.
Okay. Well, we were a little bit late. Nothing to be concerned about. Just a little bit late. Sometimes folks are a little late with stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I have no problem with being late. I've been late before.
Yeah, well, I can understand that. But actually, you were a little late tonight. Do you see us? Are we actually on fully?
Oh, yeah, you're on. Hold on for a second. Say something.
Hello, 1, 2, hello.
I hear you. I can hear me talking too.
All right, so we have actually video and audio on in Danville tonight. That's a good thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been talking to my lady friend.
How is she?
Oh, she's doing good. She's doing good. She's looking lovely as ever.
So she didn't have, she then was not too badly affected by the typhoon.
No, because if I had to, I would have showed up.
All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I would have showed up and I would have just threw her over my shoulder and took a walk with her somewhere.
Well, I don't know that we need to really get into that, but I'm happy that she was spared the worst of the storm, and we certainly have in our prayers all the people who were in the worst of it.
Oh yes, but they only got rain. Her daughter couldn't go to school, but she would the day after, I heard.
Okay, well, that's good news.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here. I'm on my last vacation this week.
Your final vacation before retirement.
Yeah, I won't take one next year.
Well, you won't be working. Oh, you're working till July, right?
July 1st to be my last day.
All right. So is your vacation this entire week?
Yes. Started Sunday, end Sunday.
Okay. So what are you gonna go to Paris or Rome or somewhere?
I wanted to go to the Philippines, but I can't seem to find my pilot.
You can't find your pirate?
Pilot.
Oh, pilot. I'm sorry. I just said pirate. All right. Well, the pilot who can't be found is not of much use to you. Maybe you should consider changing pilots.
Nah, I hate to pay for the training. It costs more.
But you're paying one now and you can't find him.
Well, I probably know where he's at, but I'm not going to complain. I can wait.
Okay. All right. Your pilot, your money.
Yeah. His paycheck will be docked for the month.
All right. Okay. That'll save him a little in taxes, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. As long as I send him a W-2, I'm good.
Yeah, don't forget to send that.
Oh, I won't. I don't want to hear from the government.
No, you don't. You don't want to. I've heard from the government, and believe me, you don't want to.
Well, I got to deal with Uncle Sam. I send him money, and when I send him, when I file my taxes, he'll send me something back.
I have a different deal. I have a different deal with. I send him money, and then I hear from him, and I have to send him some more money. So we obviously have two different arrangements with Uncle Sam.
Do you want me to talk to Uncle about it?
No, I don't. I don't want to be associated with you in any way, shape, or form. No, please.
Well, he's a good uncle. He has a good ear. He listens to me.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. But let's just leave things as they are.
Okay, we will. I don't want to stir up much of a hornet's nest.
No, let's not do that. And well, I'm glad your lady friend is okay, and I hope you have a wonderful and leisurely vacation.
Yes, I'm down here in the man cave, getting ready to watch the Cowboys and the Raiders tonight.
Yeah, the Raiders. Oh, the poor Raiders.
Well, you know, it can't be that bad. It could be the Cardinals.
The Cardinals. I don't want to talk about the Cardinals.
I believe that guy will call in now since I mentioned that team. Maybe
he might. Well, thanks for calling.
Okay. Bye, sir.
Speaking of the Cardinals, how is it even possible for a team to complete 47 pass all-time NFL record, 47 pass completions in one game, and yet they lose by 3 touchdowns? You wouldn't think that could even happen, could you? But if you are the St. Louis, if you are the Arizona Cardinals, it can and did. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Ken, it's nice guy.
Hey, nice guy.
Missed your steps this morning. Hit the side of the curb.
Oh, that's all right.
You find your paper?
Yeah. I found. If I don't see it on the steps, I look out on the sidewalk.
Oh, okay. Look, years ago, weathermen would give you more than just a temperature.
Yeah.
You know, they'd give you barometric pressure, humidity, and other things.
Yeah.
Now they don't do that. I'm wondering why.
As you talk about that, you know what I think about? I think about Dave Wright. Remember Dave Wright, who used to be the Atlantic weatherman on Channel 2, and he wore one of those service station attendant uniforms. Do you remember him?
Oh, yeah.
And at the end, he'd say, "Dave Wright, good night." Yeah, he would do the temperature, the barometric pressure, the relative humidity. Sometimes he'd do cooling degree days, which I didn't even know what that was, but he'd do that. I think what they do now probably is consultants have told them that people have shorter attention spans now, which may be true. And what the consultants tell them is you've got to give them just the important information, actually the essential information, and then you've got to show them a big colorful thing. You've got to show them a map with all kinds of colors and things moving on it. And that's the way you have to do it now. If you just talk too long about weather stuff, you'll lose their attention. I think that's why they've changed.
But you know, the barometric pressure is kind of a critical thing.
Yeah.
And if you know it's moving up and down or way down or way up, it tells you something. But, you know, you make your own decisions about things. But I guess that's just the way it is.
Yeah, they've changed with the times. People are so accustomed to what they see on the internet now. They see lots of pretty colors and lots of
Oh,
wonderful pictures. And that's
oh.
what they've told TV people to concentrate on. Show them more, talk less, and that's what makes them watch. I
Well, I
don't
just,
think I don't think Dave Wright would even make it these days in television.
probably not. I just want to know if my instruments are accurate or not. I keep an eye on things like that. Hope they're accurate. If you never hear from anybody else, you don't know.
Well, no, I have a friend in Greensboro who has, and this probably maybe similar to what you have. He's got a weather station. He's got like the fancy thermometer and a barometer and an anemometer. He's got all these instruments mounted just outside of his house, and he's got gauges inside where he can read them all. If maybe we need to get him on TV.
Did you hear? Checked all go when I had anybody tell me the barometric pressure yet. Look, I feel Ken. Appreciate you taking my call.
Well, thanks. Thanks for calling. Yeah, things have changed a lot in TV weather over the years. A whole lot. Phone line is open. The number is up there. The email address is keneckelslive@gmail.com. And this emailer says, Thomas Jefferson's Battle for Science by author Beth Anderson and illustrator Jeremy Holmes. Apparently, it's a book summary. The email says 4 classroom-ready STEAM workshops inspired by Thomas Jefferson's Battle for Science by author Beth Anderson and illustrator Jeremy Holmes. Each workshop invites students to think like scientists by testing ideas, measuring and comparing data, challenging claims, building, designing, and investigating, all through quick, engaging activities. It sounds kind of like having all the weather information in front of you, doesn't it? Included workshops measuring with motion, grades 1 through 2, build a moose, grades 1 through 2. It's a creative engineering challenge where students design and test a freestanding moose. Mythbusters, Mammoth Mystery, the whole list of workshops here. These are perfect for classroom STEAM time. Library makerspaces, homeschool enrichment, winter break learning, science centers, and quick workshops. Tap the link below to access the full curriculum. Well, emailer, I will, as soon as I have a chance, access that full curriculum. Emailer obviously is concerned, and reasonably so, with promoting scientific knowledge and sophistication in students at the lower grades. It's never too early to start. I'll check that out, emailer. Thank you. This one says the best weatherman around here was Earl Burton. Earl Burton. Star News needs to have a newscast each night like they did with Earl and Rob Compton. But we need a Rockingham County edition and not just Martinsville. Any updates on if Senator Berger is going to come on the show one night and or Sam Page? Sam Page will come on the show. I'm confident. I don't have a date scheduled yet, but we will. I have no doubt we'll get Sam Page on the show. Senator Berger, I don't know. I have not heard back from the Berger camp. So we'll try. As far as Earl Burton, yeah, Earl may have been the last of his kind. I don't know if there's been anybody quite like Earl Burton since he hung up his instruments. He was terrific. And I haven't seen. I didn't see Earl. Haven't seen Earl in years. I don't even remember the last time I saw Earl. But I'll bet you, whenever it was, and I don't remember exactly what we talked about the last time I saw him, but whenever it was, I'll bet the weather came up. in conversation with Earl Burton. He was good. He was really good. Emailer here says, Ken, when you came on the air and were late, you said it's not like this was a real show or I was a real host. Yeah, I did say that. You mean this is not a real show? Why are we even watching it if it's not a real show? I don't know. I don't know why anybody watches me. I have no idea why anybody watches me. But no, certainly I'm not a real TV host, not by any stretch of the imagination. And certainly it's not a real TV show. I don't know anybody who would consider it to be that. But thankfully, there are people who watch. And I appreciate it. But as for why folks watch, you'd have to ask them. I don't know. My wife doesn't watch. Nobody in my family watches. All these people that you would think would rally around and support me in what I do. You know, my wife's downstairs watching a Hallmark movie, I expect. But we carry on. we carry on as best we can. Yeah, Ken, that was pretty sad about the Cardinals. Yeah, it was. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hello, Ken. How are you tonight?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good there, I guess, for an old man. Ken, I a little disturbed here. I was laying here now. Well, today I was looking at Facebook right there, and I see, it bothers me when I seen that where these three guys run down this man on the truck, and then they shot him with the shotgun. But then you see where they got life in prison with no parole. And I was watching C-SPAN Sunday, and I heard this man call in on live TV saying that there's going to be some killings, shootings when Trump get ready to leave office because of the way they killed that other guy here. And, have the country really come down to this. I mean, it's sad. It's so sad. You hear people doing what they're doing. And all of this like this, it wasn't really going on like this right here. I'm just saying, because if you sit here and look, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I'm not the dullest one either. But my thing is, I'm sitting here watching this stuff happen. And if you can't see it happening, and it wasn't doing it before, then it was doing it somewhat in Trump's first election, and now it's doing it in this one here, even more in this one. Because the simple fact is, because he let all these people out from the January 6th. He did this. He let them out of jail and whatnot, and then what he doing now. And what bothers me is when the government was shut down, he's playing golf, he's at Mar-a-Lago, he goes out of the country. He didn't care, and he sat there in front of a news reporter and said, it's up to the president to open the government back up. That's before he became elected. He said if he become president, he would open the government. It's up to the president. Now, I don't understand why he couldn't do this right here. And then again, I heard that he went and tried to stop the SNAP from the people getting it this time. But it was overruled when he tried to stop them from getting the SNAP. And I can understand. I was talking to a guy in the store today, and I know there's a lot of people out here that abusing the SNAP program. They taking the money and selling it. And I know this one guy doing it for drugs. I know this. And this guy I talked to that guy this morning, telling him he needs to get him a job. And the thing about it is something they don't want to work. And this guy, one guy I was talking to in the grocery store today, and he said the plant where I left from to where he's at, he's still there. He said people come in there and they work and they get the 90 days in and they go. Work to get the people don't want to work. This generation do not want to work, and I can understand, I can't understand it. I can't understand it. And like I said, I told him, they running down the Mexicans and all this here, running them. I mean, create days. I know there's bad people, there's bad black people, there's bad white people, there's bad all kind of people. But look, you ain't got to take people from the kids and all that. You ain't got to do all this right here like that. It's another way it can be done. You know, besides doing all that. These people out here are working. You see people out here on the road. They're Mexicans. I've seen some of the weekend. All them Mexicans are working on the road. We ain't gonna do it. This generation ain't gonna do it. On the roofs. We ain't gonna do it. I mean, Candace bothers me. You know, it really does. It really does. And I don't see it. I don't see how in the world we're gonna last these next 3 years going through what we're going through. I don't see it. Something gonna happen because the way it is, people killing people for no reason. People like this Mexican lady. She goes to the house, a cleaning lady, goes to the wrong house, shot and killed a woman. Man, shot and killed her. Now, what is this country coming to? I mean, this is what the people wanted him to do. This is what they want him to do when he came into office to have this out here done. It don't make no sense. It don't.
Well,
but yeah.
I mean, when we've covered a lot of ground there.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have people in our society who do violent things. We do. We always have. I guess the question is, are people more violent now than they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago?
Yeah.
I mean, do you think we are more violent than we were those decades ago?
I don't know. It's hard to say, you know, because I won't pay much attention to it, I guess.
Well, it could be. I mean, I don't know the answer. I just know the questions. I'm in this position. I don't know the answer. All I know is the question. Is it because 30 years ago something would happen? Say, just pick a state. Something would happen in Kansas, or something happened in New York, something happened in California, and we might not hear about it. But now with the internet and with cable news outlets and all the volume of information that we're presented with, is it that we just hear more about these things than we used to hear?
Well, you know, because I think it's more now because of ice on the ground and you know the troops on the ground. You know, we didn't have all of that, Ken. We didn't have all of that right there on the ground. I mean, seemed like they would have done this better. You know, put more officers in charge. Don't bring the National Guard in. Put more officers on the ground. You know, put more officers in the station. That's what I'm saying. They could have.
Well, I don't think there's any question that every major city, and probably small cities too, but I think every major city in this country does not have enough police officers on the street. And I think that the people who run these cities will readily tell you that. We'd love to have, and we need more police officers on the street, but we don't have the money to put more police officers on the street. And I think that's part of the problem. I mean, take DC, the Washington, D.C., when they had 2,000, I guess at the peak of it, they had about 3,000 federal agents on the streets in D.C. And they have about 3,000 police officers on the streets, municipal police officers on the streets in Washington, D.C. So during those times when the federal enforcement was at its peak in D.C., they had essentially doubled the number of law enforcement officers who were working in Washington, D.C., and violent crime went down. Violent crime went down by probably 15%, 16. I read one study, I said violent crime went down by 18% in Washington, D.C. They had double the law enforcement officers on the street. But most city leaders, I think, will tell you, yeah, if we could put more officers on the street, we'd have less crime. But most of them say
Okay.
they can't afford to do it.
Okay, like I heard one of the senators say, well, up in New York, I think it was New York, he said, okay, Chicago. Said it was like a slap in the face to the police officers because they brought the National Guard in. I mean, you can pay you pay the National Guard. Well, they paying them more, I guess. I don't know if he is not, but they look like they would go ahead, like you said, Ken, they didn't have the money to pay them, but somebody paying ICE agents, right? Seems like they could take that money.
Certainly. Well, yeah, that's federal money.
Right. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's federal money right there. But look, they could take that federal money then and give it to the police officers. I mean, hire more police officers. That's what I mean.
Well, that's what many people say, especially many people in these cities. If the federal government has that kind of money to spend, then send us a grant and let us put 2,000 more police on the street, and maybe that would be the answer.
I'm all for that, Ken. But look, I'm gonna let you go after this right here. But here's a wonderful thing that happened to me today. I was in here fixing my supper right here, and somebody come knock on the door. And I went to the door, and there was this man standing there, this white guy, and he said, "You or your friend one still doing any work?" I told him. He seen me with my oxygen thing on. He said, he came in the house. I shook his hand and whatnot. And I was so happy to see him. He's a real nice guy. He really is. And I believe he's a minister. Anyway, to make a long story short, he said somebody else can call. So he came in and we stood there and we talked. And I was telling him, about my situation and whatnot. And he was saying, "I'm so sorry to see you in this condition that you're in." And while I was talking, the man reached in his back pocket right there, Ken, and handed me $20 and gave it to me. And he said, "Yeah, it's good right there. He handed me $20." And I tell you what, I told him where he could go to get the work done that he needed. That's what I do because I don't do it no more. I send him to somebody else. But I tell you, it brought tears to my eyes when he did that. And I looked at him like, my goodness, I got a testimony to tell in church Sunday when I get there.
Well, that's great.
Anyway, that's all right. That's okay right there. But anyway, Ken, I thank you for taking my call and thank you for talking to me tonight. I appreciate it so much. You have a blessed evening.
Thanks for calling. Good night. Phone line is open. The number's up there. The email address is keneccleslive@gmail.com. And we'd love to hear from you either by phone or by email, whichever works best for you. Ken, did you ever find out what Bubba Wallace is going to do? Bubba Wallace is not going to Australia. In fact, he has signed a new contract with 23XI. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
How you doing tonight, Ken?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. I just want to congratulate JJ from Danville for all his comments tonight, and I agree with him 100%. That's
okay.
All right, I have a kind of a semi-legal question for you, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're not an attorney, nor am I, but let me just give you the scenarios what's happened to one of my friends, see what you think about it.
All right.
I have a close friend that rented an apartment this past April in Reidsville. I won't give any names or locations or anything, but this person rented this apartment, and it is a federally funded organization. And as everybody pretty much knows, that it's a tobacco-free facility, okay?
Okay.
All right. My friend went and applied for an apartment. She talked to the site manager, and the site manager wrote up the contract for 12 straight months. 6 months into the new contract, with the provision that before she signed the contract, that she could legally smoke on her back porch. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But it's a tobacco-free facility. Well, The question was asked to that site manager, could she smoke on her back porch? And in the contract itself, it says, yes, you are allowed to smoke on your back porch. Now, 6 months into this contract, the site manager came out last week and said there will be no more smoking at all on this facility. So does that make that contract null and void if 6 months into it that she now has no right to smoke on it?
All right. First of all, let's make sure I understand. It's in writing in the contract that it says she can smoke on her back porch. That says that in the contract.
Yes, sir. It has that. It's got a couple of provisions in it. It says you can do this and you can do this. The second of those two says you can legally smoke on your back porch.
All
You
right.
have to sign it. You have to sign it, date it, and initial it through all the parts of the contract, including that smoking provision.
Okay. Well, now let me repeat what you said. I am not licensed to practice law or give legal advice in the state of North Carolina or any other state.
I
So
agree. Yep.
everybody understands that. Here, if it was simply a matter of the contract says this. Everybody signed the contract, and now you want to change the terms of the contract. If it was simply a matter of that, then she would have the upper hand. Because the site manager would be changing the terms of a legally executed contract before the contract is filled. But however, if the contract by its very nature, and at the time it was written and signed, if the contract violated some pre-existing law, some law that was in effect before the contract was signed, then the contract itself could not be enforced to the extent that it violated a pre-existing law. So if it's a tobacco-free facility, that's a pre-existing law that was on the
Right.
books before the contract was signed. And that being the case, I don't know if the contract would be enforceable.
Okay. Well, my opinion is the lady that we're talking about, as the site manager in the beginning, I'm a smoker. If I can't smoke, I will not rent from y'all. And she turned it to the part in the contract that says you can smoke on your back porch, but nowhere else on the facility.
Mm-hmm.
And that person said, okay, under those conditions, I'm willing to rent it for 12 months.
All right. But again, if it's a tobacco-free facility, that's the law. The site
Right.
manager would not have the authority to override existing law. In other words, the site manager cannot say, well, the law says this, but as the site manager, I'm going to give you a contract that is outside of the law. I'm going to just in and of myself set aside the existing law and give you a different contract that does not recognize that existent law. The site manager wouldn't have that authority. So the person, as you describe it to me, the person who fouled up here was the site manager, and maybe the site manager's been called on it and has got to comply with the law that existed beforehand.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I don't know how, the person I'm talking about hasn't really spoken to the site manager as of today, but my question was this. Was the site manager giving her the right to smoke on a tobacco-free area?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't the site manager be responsible for the contract that she got that person to sign or not?
The site manager would be responsible. The site manager would be responsible for executing a contract that was in conflict with the law. And whatever
Right.
the consequence of that would be, I don't know the consequence of that. Does the site manager get fined or says, I don't know. I'm just saying that would be the site manager's responsibility. But I don't see how your friend, though, could enforce a contract that was written in violation of a pre-existing law.
Right. Okay. Even though, and I agree with everything, I understand everything you're saying, but the person wouldn't have rented that apartment complex without that provision saying, yes, you can legally smoke here.
I
That,
understand.
yeah, I understand what you're saying too, Ken. I do, but I just think it's a little much because this lady's in the contract for over 6 months now, and now everything's changed.
Well,
And
it could be, and again, I don't know. We're just speculating here. It could
right,
be that she could say, "All right, I signed a contract. I've paid this money under the terms of this contract, and now I find out the contract is not enforceable." She probably maybe she could get her money back, recover whatever money she spent on that because of terms of the contract are not being fulfilled. And she might even be able to get some more expenses she might incur having to find another place to live. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities here.
right.
But I doubt she could require that the contract be enforced.
Okay. I know it's all speculation. I appreciate your help on all this, Ken. But on another subject, it looked like Trump is now wanting all the Epstein files to be released. Now, my opinion on that, he's going to hold that thing up in court later on, no matter how the House or Senate votes, whether he's going to say, well, we don't really have to do this because it's under investigation. How do you see that situation coming out?
Well, I think it became obvious to the president that the House is going to pass this. I mean, it's going to pass in the House, and that's been clear for several days now. So I think the president saw that, and he said, "Well, they're going to pass it anyway." So I'm just going to go along with it in the House. Now, remember, the House doesn't make the final decision. It also has to pass the Senate.
Right.
It's very, very uncertain, a lot of uncertainty as to whether it can pass in the Senate. It may not pass in the Senate. We don't know. If it does pass in the Senate, the president has also last week told the attorney general to start investigating any Democrats that
Right.
might have had any association with Jeffrey Epstein. In that case, the attorney general, with an investigation underway, could legally say, we cannot release the files now because they are pertinent to an ongoing investigation. I mean, there are a whole lot of things that could happen. Let's go in a whole lot of different directions. The House is going to pass it, but that does not mean we're actually going to see the files. We'll have to wait and see on that.
I totally agree with that, Ken. One more question, Ken. I appreciate all your advice tonight, as I always do. But on the last race episode we had, could you remind me one more time who came in last on that? Do you remember?
Well, hang on. Because I don't really. Oh, it was Mr. NASCAR. Mr. NASCAR finished last. I had forgotten about that, and maybe he had forgotten too. But now he's been reminded.
Thanks so much, Ken. Have a great night.
Thanks for calling. Good to hear from you. Let me repeat and make sure I emphasize with all vigor. I'm not I'm not a practicing attorney. So anything I say about the law. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes. And to you, Ken.
Good evening.
I'd like to begin this with Mr. NASCAR. I'm sorry I started that so long ago.
Oh, I'm sure he doesn't mind.
Anyhow, you and Mr. Pelham, I think, missed the most important key of that whole discussion about the apartment.
Okay.
It's a HUD building.
Oh, okay. Well, he didn't say it was a HUD building, but I guess it stands to reason that it is.
He said it was a HUD building. That's the key. So, and I've known people living in HUD buildings prior to this. They're all no smoking. It's a federal law.
Right. I don't think there's any question about that.
I'm sorry. It's a HUD building.
Yeah.
That's HUD. And that, as well as I do, they're going to say that trumps everything.
Well, yeah,
No pun intended.
federal law overcomes everything else.
Right. At the end of the day, just consider that. Hey, thank you, Ken. You have a good evening.
Well, thanks for calling. And Mr. NASCAR, thanks you as well, I'm sure. Phone line is open. There's a number up there, and the email address is keneckleslive@gmail.com. And here's a link that I will watch in a few minutes. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. This caller says, Ken, don't you get tired? Oh yeah, I do get tired. Ken, don't you get tired of watching the Arizona Cardinals struggle and fail and stumble into inevitable disaster after inevitable disaster, year after year, decade after decade? Don't you get tired of that? Why don't you stop it? Why don't I stop? Why don't I stop the Cardinals from struggling and stumbling into disaster decade after decade? I don't know how to stop that. Maybe you mean, why don't I stop even paying attention to the Arizona Cardinals? Maybe that's what I ought to do, is just stop paying attention entirely and altogether. Different topic. Ken, I read that there's a bill where they're going to add $200 a month to our Social Security benefits. Is that the truth? And if they are, when will they do it? It's true that there is a bill, not a law, though. What has happened in the bill's in the Senate? It's in the Senate. It was introduced by Elizabeth Warren and signed on to by a couple of other Democrats. I can't remember the names. I know Elizabeth Warren introduced it. Here's what the bill would do if it were to become law. It would, for the first 6 months of 2026, starting in January, and through the end of June, it would increase your Social Security benefit, whatever Social Security benefit you receive, a retirement benefit, a disability benefit, also a VA benefit, and there's a list of benefits. But most of the people would be affected because they get Social Security retirement benefit. It would increase that benefit by $200 a month, every month for the first 6 months of the year. The $200 would be on top of the cost of living adjustment that you'll be getting in January. So that cost of living adjustment for the average Social Security recipient adds $56 to the benefit. This law would add another $200 for a $256 benefit increase for the first 6 months. Now, the $200 would be tax-free. When you do your income tax for 2026, you would not have to report this money, $200 for 6 months, $1,200. You would not have to report this $1,200 on your income tax. So it would be all yours. You'd get all of that money. And that's what it would do. And again, it was introduced by Elizabeth Warren. And there it is. There hasn't been any action on it in the Senate. I don't know if there's ever been I don't think there's been any debate on it in the Senate, but it is in the Senate. Whether it goes anywhere or not, who can tell? I certainly cannot tell. But that's the thing that you've heard about. That's the $200 possibly added to your Social Security benefit. And so we'll see where that goes. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it pretty quick because it's only 6 weeks until January 1st when it would supposedly would kick in if it became law. So we'll see how that one works out. This one says, this is one of those strange ones. Let's move on to the next one. Next one says, yeah, I remember Dave Wright, your Atlantic weatherman on Channel 2. That was back in, I don't know what year that was. I guess it was the early 60s. And he was the last guy I ever saw wearing one of those uniforms doing the weather. Yeah, I think he was the last. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
What's going on, Ken?
Well, not too much. We're just kind of dragging along.
Yeah, talking about that $200 we're supposed to get.
Maybe we might.
Yeah, you think we might get it?
Well, it'll depend on, whether they pass it in the Senate. Now we got, there's that, and then there's also the $2,000 check that they're talking.
Yeah.
That's two things they're talking about. We may get one, we may get the other, may not get any. Maybe we'll get both. That'd be good.
Yeah. Be nice if we can get them both, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but it's all up to the politicians.
Yeah, it's all up to the politicians. Well, I hope we get it. Sure would help us a whole lot of us.
I think
Help
everybody
me, I know that.
everybody could use it.
Yeah, they could use it.
But, we're trying to predict what they might do up there. That's a losing game. I'm not even going to try to guess at it.
I'd be scared in of that. Be scared in of it.
But, I'll take it. If they send it to me, I'll take it.
Yeah, I will too. Yes, sir. Yeah, I think they give it to me. Yes, sir. Anyway, who do you think's gonna win that game tonight, Ken?
What is
Cowboys.
it? Dallas and Cowboys will win tonight.
Yeah, Cowboys and Raiders. Yeah,
Yeah, I
okay.
think Cowboys will win tonight.
Okay, I'll let you go. Good talking to you, and I love the show, bro.
Well, thanks. Thanks for calling. I hope everybody here heard that. I said that the Cowboys will win tonight. If you're going to bet on the game, and I of course discourage you from betting on football. I don't bet on football or anything else. I'm suggesting that you not do that. Of course, you'll all ignore that. But while you're ignoring that, you might also want to ignore my prediction on the game, because as everybody knows, I'm always wrong. So with that as your guiding star, yeah, I think the Dallas Cowboys will win the game tonight. That's what I think. What time is it? It's just about that time, and we have an email about the Christmas parade. All right. Okay. There it is. Ken, a question about the Reidsville Christmas parade. How come it starts at 4 o'clock? Don't you think it would be better if you would start it at 2 o'clock? That way, the whole parade could finish in daylight. It would be warmer. People would not have to walk back to their cars in the dark, and everybody could get home early and have supper or dinner, if you want to call it that, at an early time. So I think you should move the parade to 2 o'clock. Can you do that? Can I do that? Are you talking to me? No, I cannot move the parade until 2 o'clock. I can show up at 2 o'clock. Maybe if I just get there, say at 1:45, and I get my jacket on or whatever I'm supposed to wear. If I'm ready at 2 o'clock, maybe they'll go ahead and start the parade at 2 o'clock. I doubt it, but I guess I could try that. No, the parade is at 4 o'clock, and the reason it's at 4 o'clock is because they tell us to do it at 4 o'clock. I don't know any other reason. Maybe in the future, maybe if enough people express enough want and desire to have it moved to 2 o'clock. Who knows? Maybe they'll move it to 2 o'clock. But that won't be happening this year. Which reminds me, join us Sunday afternoon on Scale Street in Reidsville at 4 o'clock for the Reidsville Holiday Parade. If you can't be there, watch on Star News. If you can be there, come and see the parade in person and then go home and watch it again on Star News is what we would prefer that you do. And that's all the time we have for Star Talk. We're on the air Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Thanks for watching. I'm Ken Echols.